Okay, now we're going to look at input devices. And input devices are basically devices that allow you to enter data or put data inside of the computer system itself. And they are basically placed in certain categories. The first category is a keyboard, and you have pointing devices, and you have gaming input devices, scanning devices, audio and video input devices, and finally other input devices. So let's start off with the basic and the very first one, and that is a keyboard. Now we all know what a keyboard is, right? A keyboard is basically a device that allows you to enter alphanumeric keys, which are numbers and letters. It also has punctuation marks, special function keys, and so forth on there. Now, the very first type of keyboard is called a QWERTY keyboard, and it's called a QWERTY keyboard because on the keys itself, the very top row in terms of letters spells out the word QWERTY, QWERTY. If you look on any keyboard, you'll see it. This type of keyboard is used on every type of device you can think of. Your laptops, your ordinary keyboards, your cell phones, your tablets. Anytime you pull up a keyboard to type something, you're using a QWERTY keyboard, right? But there are other types of keyboards as well. Now, these would include Braille keyboards, left-handed keyboards, virtual or projected keyboards, and ergonomic keyboards. The Braille obviously is used by blind people. Left-handed is designed for left-handed individuals. Virtual or projected keyboard is where you have a projected image of a keyboard on a surface, and you can actually press the keys based off of that. Now, it uses a sensor to determine exactly where your hand is pressing on the projection to then depict or give the output of the key on the monitor or the screen. The last one there is ergonomic, and the ergonomic keyboard is where it is designed in such a way to help your wrist from getting carpal tunnel. Now, with using your keyboard and your mouse, there is a instance where you can get some sort of effect in terms of carpal tunnel syndrome on your wrist. So ergonomic keyboards were designed in such a way where it reduces the pressure on your wrist. All right. Now let's move on to pointing devices. Now the pointing devices include the mouse, digitizing tablet, light pen, and touch-sensitive screen. So let's start off with the very first one there, which is the mouse. Now we all know what a mouse is. Mouse is a device that allows us to actually move around our screen and select objects by pressing either the left or the right mouse button. Now the very first type of mouse had a ball on the bottom of it, and I don't know if you remember it, but it had a ball inside of it, and from time to time you'd have to take the ball out to clean it, and it was very cumbersome, and then after a while you would have to change the mouse because it was no longer usable. That was replaced by the optical mouse, which is the ones we're using now. The optical mice basically have a laser or a red or blue light underneath it that basically determines where you are on the desk and then relates that on the screen. The next type of mouse you have there is a trackball, and the trackball mouse is basically where you would have the ball on top, and then you'd have two buttons to the left or the right of it, or somewhere on the device for you to click on. So you would then use the ball or move the ball around and to represent on your screen as the mouse pointer, and then you use the buttons on it to make your selections. Next, you have the pointing stick. The pointing stick was basically just used by a certain type or brand of laptop, which is called Lenovo. On some of the laptops, even today, you will still see the pointing stick. The pointing stick looks like the eraser of an ordinary pencil, and you would use that to maneuver around the screen by pressing in on the orange section there, and then moving it around to move around the screen. Finally, there we have our touchpad, which is what everybody uses on our laptops now. So with the touchpad, you move around a surface, you move around a touch-sensitive surface that is registered on the screen, and then from there you can make your selections. Let's move on now to the digitizing tablet. Now, the digitizing tablet is basically a device that allows to draw, and this image goes directly into the computer system itself. In most instances, it does have a pen with it, right? But if it doesn't, you can always use a light pen to go along with it.